Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Hamid Al Alamat. Have you been trying to learn Arabic? Have you been struggling? Did you try a lot and did not work very well? Were you tired? Did you find some of these some approaches and methods very boring? Okay, listen to this. I'm Hamid Al Alamat, have PhD and masters in teaching English and in linguistics. So I have been familiar with teaching Arabic and also English. I live in the US. So, just to take an idea, teaching languages, Arabic and others, have been going through different approaches and methods and the stages. Okay, I'm going to share with you six approaches that will help you decide what is the best text, what is the best teacher, and what is the best approach. Okay, so the first of them is the grammar translation method. This is the oldest approach to teach languages. So the grammar translation approach from the name, it focuses more on a grammar and on vocabulary translation. And it was used in Europe long time ago. It is helpful and every approach has some benefits. However, the best approach will be number five, the communicative approach. So back to this approach, the oldest one, grammar translation method. Maybe you studied English in the past or any other language when you have a list of vocabulary in your mother tongue and the new target language vocabulary, the meanings, and you have to go through them. And you wasted a lot of time and it was boring. Were you focusing in the past on the grammar and telling you how everything works? So that is the grammar translation method. It was used in Europe to learn and to teach Latin and Greek languages. Nobody spoke them at that time. Nobody would read, nobody would hear them from other native speakers, but there were a lot of books and textbooks. So they wanted educated people in Europe, France, and everywhere, and Italy and everywhere. They wanted them to learn the old languages and to see what is in these books. So it depended a lot on the grammar, knowing the structure of the language, Latin, and also memorizing the vocabulary. It was very difficult, very boring. You have all the day just knowing more about the grammar and the grammar, and also vocabulary. So it did not prove to be the best approach. The second approach is a little bit interesting because it was invented in the US, in America, in the 20th century during the war, World War II, when America wanted to send some spies to Germany and Japan. So they call it sometimes the army method, okay, the army method or the spies method. But the official name is audio lingual method, audio lingual method. So this method depends more on listening. So the spy has to listen carefully and also on speaking, because if he gets caught up or some or in a difficult situation or he needs some help, so he knows how to communicate it quickly in the target language, Germany or Japanese. So in that case, it neglects reading, it neglects writing, because the spy will write in English, right? Not in other languages. And this, although it is very helpful, especially in the beginning, and it has a lot of drilling, like repetition. For example, saying good morning, or sabahul khair, ana Hamid. So it's good in the beginning for repetition to teach any target language, but when you go a little bit advanced, it doesn't help that much. Okay, the next one is the silent way. The silent way is an approach that already ended and nobody pays attention anymore to it, because it has a theory based on behavior school, that adults who are learning and older kids, they're learning Arabic or English, they should behave like a kid, a baby. The baby keeps listening to his parents, listening Arabic, sorry, English, for example, then he becomes familiar with English. Okay, when he reaches a level, saturation level, or you keep listening Arabic or any language, so the kids keep listening, and building up inside them until finally they speak. So they say, let us adopt this approach to teach adults. Did not prove to be good. It is helpful sometimes in the beginning here and there, if somebody's working and they name certain things in his place of work, that will help, but not advance. Okay, another approach is Suggestopedia, and it depends on selective, giving the students the ability to learn by themselves on their own. So let them relax, let them have a good time. And instead of teaching them, for example, the days and the months, January, February, Shbat, Adar, for example, in Arabic. So just have some posts inside the classrooms on the walls, the name of the months, the days, and students, by seeing them repeatedly, they will be learning and adapting something. Also, did not benefit that much. Then you go finally to the strongest and the best approach, which is الطريقة التفاعلية or التواصلية, communicative approach. You know, communicative approach or communicative language teaching. And this has been adapted from the 70s up to this very moment, worldwide, almost in America, in Europe, in Britain. It is the main approach that has been adopted and still been adopted by many universities, schools, and institutes of languages. This approach is very enjoyable, doesn't have stress, not boring. It's very enjoyable, and it focuses on the four skills, doesn't neglect any of them. So if you want to learn a language, you have to know when you hear it, right? So you need the listening skill, you need the speaking skills, you need the reading skills with your eyes, and you need the writing skills, right? So this approach, the communicative approach, focuses on the four skills, and it is not boring by mentioning like vocabulary, memorizing, and going in grammar in depth. Teaches you how to use the language, not how the language works. So how to use more than how to know about the language. So for example, when they teach you Arabic, they don't tell you that the marfu'at or those that have them at the very end are the mubtada, the khabar, the fa'il, the subject. You know, they don't go in details. They want you to use the language. So the examples are very authentic, and the class itself is very enjoyable because you have good textbooks that have pictures, have different activities, sometimes listening, sometimes speaking, sometimes you're like writing, very active, different approaches. You talk to your friends, to the class, then you read, then you listen. Even when you are out of the class, you have authentic material. You can go to YouTube, you can go and listen to something, or mix with some people, or go somewhere, and that still will be helpful because this is the approach. It is a living approach, very active and very enjoyable, and very engaging to students. And this is the best approach that you should adopt. If you want to choose your book, then take the textbook and look, are the four skills involved? Do you have listening in your text? Do you have speaking? Do you have writing? If you have the four skills, then you are almost on the communicative approach. When the textbook was built, okay, who teaches it? Somebody who has the experience, was qualified to teach Arabic as a second language or English as a second language, or just somebody, an imam, or just like a friend who has a little bit, who taught himself or his friends some Arabic. The last approach, by the way, before we close up, is the selective approach. When the teacher chooses from the previous five approaches, there are many other approaches, but these are the main approaches, then he chooses what is fitting or befitting more to his students. So my advice is, decide on your teacher and your textbook. Avoid the old approach, grammar translation. You don't need the grammar so much, unless if you are going in that way and that route and you want to be a scholar in Arabic grammar, okay, and Arabic, like drawing and understanding the ruling of Islam, for example, from the Quran. But for ordinary person to understand Quran, to understand what people are speaking, you need the communicative approach more, which is more active, more authentic, and this is what is adopted now worldwide around the world. I hope this video is helping you or will help you decide on what approach and textbook and even teacher. Wassalamu alaikum.